What were some times when you died inside? Story 1. Junior high, status, awkward preteen. Style, like cats, very shy. Walked out of the school bathroom, noticed after a bit that the popular girl in school was watching me, giving me a strange look. Then she approached me and wordlessly pulled my skirt out of my underwear that I'd just tidily tucked in with the rest of my uniform. Then I just walked away to avoid my shame as I'd just been walking around with my panties showing. Story 2. I had a customer who was holding and examining an awkward, fragile, and expensive item with one hand. I asked her to please hold it with two. She turned to look at me, and I noticed she had only one arm. Story 3. When I was about 13, my dad took me aside one night and apologized for putting so much effort into supporting my twin brother and so little into supporting me. I always assumed he was just smarter and physically more gifted. Turns out he and my mother had actively and knowingly neglected me in order to encourage my brother's achievements. Happened all throughout my schooling. They paid thousands for his sporting trips, and when I had the same opportunities, they just didn't have the money. Still kills me inside now. Story 4. In the 7th grade, I got my back-to-school clothes, and for some reason, I thought yellow pants and a yellow Hawaiian shirt looked awesome. I was excited to wear this new outfit. We weren't wealthy, so having new clothes like this was a big deal for me. And then sitting in my English class, I received a note. It said, "Are you the mustard man?" and was signed by every person in class, and as I read it, they all burst out in laughter. All of them. It's a moment in life where you have to laugh or cry, and either way, you still die inside. I chose to laugh. Kids are cruel. Story 5. When I was 18 and at a carnival with a group of people I knew from school, including my longtime crush, at some point, people started dropping off from the group, going on rides, getting food, that kind of stuff. Eventually, it was only me, my crush, and my little sister, little as in almost 16. I kept waiting for her to leave too, to go find some of her friends or whatever. After hanging out together for another 15 or so minutes, it slowly dawned on me that it wasn't him and me waiting for her to leave, but them waiting for me to leave. They shortly after became a couple for a few months. It later turned out that they got to know each other at my 18th birthday party 2 months prior. They never met before. When my sister got back later that evening, she told me and said, "You don't mind, do you?" I did mind, very much. Story 6. I received a set of boxes in the mail with no return address on a Monday morning. When I opened the boxes, I started noticing stuff that is my mom's, her handwriting on notes. This seems to be some sort of care package from my mom. I was in college at the time. As I opened more, there were all these documents. I was confused, but then I found the note. My mom took her life, but planned it all out. She sent me a list of things to take care of now that she's gone. Now I hate getting packages. Story 7. In 4th grade, my school had a fundraiser around Valentine's Day where you could buy a carnation for $1 or a rose for $2. It would then be delivered with a message to the person of your choosing. I liked a boy in class, so I decided to buy him a rose and write a note from his secret admirer. Well, I couldn't wait for the rose to be delivered, so I wrote a note and slid it under his book when he got to go up to the bathroom. His friend saw because I'm about as stealthy as an elephant on roller skates. A friend took the note and read it aloud when the boy got back. The rose came not long after. The boy took it, looked at me, snapped the rose in half, and threw it in the trash. Also, there was the recurring instance of being the target of, "My friend likes you." "You, no I don't." Does wonders for a girl's self-esteem, especially since my mom continued the insults at home. LOL. Story 8. This happened in my high school theater class. As a final project, we chose a song, a monologue, dialogue to perform. I had a dear friend, Emma, with a brave heart. She chose the song All That Jazz from the musical Chicago, which is a hard song even for seasoned performers. In Emma's 16 years of life, no one had told her she was tone deaf, nor had she figured it out for herself. You could feel how uncomfortable everyone was when Emma started to sing. Luckily, we weren't a bunch of freaks and politely tried to sit through it. We were quite close-knit and mainly just proud to see our friends perform. Everyone had chosen their favorites and was so excited, so we were painfully letting Emma sing her way through the song until cue Miss Ellen. She was hired as a front office person. She answered the phone, took care of attendants and kids whose parents called them in sick, etc. It was her dream, however, to be in the performing arts, so stupidly, our theater teacher took on Miss Ellen as an assistant director. None of us liked her or this idea. After the first verse, Miss Allen began to sing the correct-ish pitch over Emma. I was horrified. She immediately lost all confidence she had and hurried her way through the rest of the song. The secondhand embarrassment was so tangible, it was heartbreaking. Story 9. 5th grade spelling bee. I made it to the school-wide level, which was the 3rd round in. First, I had to beat my own class, then beat the other 5th grade classes, and next was the whole school. My first word was easy, biscuit. My second word was soccer, also easy. Except for the fact that I was a bit nervous being up on stage with the whole school in attendance, including my mom who was there for support, it got in my head a little bit. I heard soccer and thought, okay, this is easy. Remember, there are 2 C's in soccer. 2 C's, 2 C's. Steps up to the microphone. C-O, instantly, I knew what I did, face palm myself in front of everyone and dead inside. Despite this realization and the fact that I had already lost, my brain kept the letters mixed up and I spelled the rest of the word S-S-E-R, C-O-S-S-E-R. Any C-O-S-S-E-R fans out there? Or you may call it in your own country, footfall? Story 10. Once bought a bottle of Pepsi in a meal deal, but didn't have a space to put it in my bag. In my infinite wisdom, I decided to pour the contents into my reusable water bottle so I wouldn't have to carry both bottles. It was one of those bottles that has a straw in it and you flip the top up when you want a drink. Opened it in a little hardware store later in the day and the gas had built up in the bottle and it spurted out like a water gun all over the wall and ceiling. I was so embarrassed and tried my best to clean it up for them, but all the staff could do was laugh. One of them told me I was standing in the perfect spot for the CCTV to pick it up and he would be watching it back later. Story 11. 6th grade all-day field trip to SeaWorld Orlando. Surprise period through my white shorts. All the moms who wanted to help only had tampons. I was 11 and had no idea how to use them and there ensued an embarrassing crash course. I was devastated until a random dad saved the day by giving me his windbreaker to tie around my waist and told me to go have fun. Thanks, random field trip dad. Saved the day. Story 12. I've told this story before, but there was a time when I knew I was coming down with what I was sure was going to be an absolute pain of a cold. Already beginning to feel a little fuzzy in the brain, I decided to make myself some chicken soup in advance to get me through the worst of it. I chopped up some carrots, some onions, threw in chicken, and over the course for about 4 hours, made the most bomb stock you could imagine. Then, not in my best moment, poured it through a colander directly into the sink. It took me a good 30 seconds before I realized what I'd done, then I just sat on the kitchen floor for about 10 minutes, gazing at the opposite wall and wishing real life had a Control-Z function. Story 13. I crochet and my old boss at work asked me for a scarf. He requested lilac, which I thought was odd, but he was super insistent and even sent me a color chart pointing out the exact shade he wanted. I bought the yarn and made him a scarf, but then ran into him and mentioned the scarf again and he started cracking up saying he was joking. Definitely embarrassing, but I'm glad I didn't actually bring it with me and give him the scarf, only to find out he was joking. I wound up giving it to another coworker who was watching the whole thing play out, and she was super appreciative. Story 14. One morning session, I was running a bit late and got changed super quick and went out the poolside with my gear getting ready for the training session when one of the girls, who I happened to fancy at the time, informed me that one of my testicles was hanging out the side of my Speedos. I thought it felt a little breezy as I ran out of the changing room, but it never crossed my mind what had happened. I look back and laugh about it now, but my God, the embarrassment at the time. I still wonder how many others saw and didn't say anything. Story 15. Girlfriend tells me I'm ugly when I smile, but that incident was just a small piece of a larger puzzle. So please always consider everything you say before you even open your mouth. I was 15, someone was taking a photo of my girlfriend at the time and she goes, make sure you don't smile, you're ugly when you smile, you look much better when you're serious, don't want you ruining another photo. It was not a joke. That killed me so hard. I'm 34 and I still struggle to smile in front of people. After that lovely little relationship, I only had been damaging relationships up until the age of 30 when I finally had the chance to get rid of literally everyone in my life. No one is dead, I just distanced myself as much as I could and start a new one. I'm 34 now, I only have 5 friends, but we are all supporting each other if needed. And as of last year, I'm in a new, finally good relationship and she's amazing. And for the first time ever in my life, I feel loved for who I am and I just recently started smiling again. I mean, maybe it's not a smile and more just a smirk, but I do really mean it and I'm truly happy. Story 16. When I went to the pool with my family, my aunt forgot my cousin's activity access card. Basically, in our town, you get this one kind of card where it allows you to get books at the library, prove you live in the town, and in this case, go to the pool for free all summer, otherwise you pay $10. And she's usually the most chill person ever, so I assume she's gonna pay it, and so I take my 10-year-old cousin towards the female side of the changing rooms. Hey, you're not going anywhere, insert cousin name here, until I fix this mess. I turn around, my aunt starts yelling Karen style at this poor summer worker that must be about, 14 years old? She always comes to this pool, and it's unacceptable to make her pay when they always have the card. My cousin had to stay and watch through the gates because she couldn't go in and my aunt just took the car and left. I paid so she could come in with us instead, crying her eyes out because her mom can't be damned to pay $10. She came back huffing with a card and nearly threw it at the employee before even realizing her daughter wasn't in front of it but in the pool. She didn't even look for her. Story 17. When you're having a conversation with your friends and you keep getting talked over like you never said anything, and by the time someone does acknowledge you, the subject has changed, so they all give you a weird look for being so behind, and it keeps happening, and you realize that these people aren't really your friends, you're just kind of there. Story 18. I straight up pooped myself in second grade. I wasn't feeling good at all, but I was too embarrassed to ask to go to the bathroom, and without any warning, I audibly filled my pants with what felt like a gallon of diarrhea. We were sitting cross-legged on the floor for reading time, and I quickly had poop up my back to my shoulder blades and down my pants to the knees. Of course, I was sitting between two girls at the time who promptly screamed and crawled away as if I had burst into flames. The teacher's mouth just dropped, and I just weakly said, "I don't feel good." Everyone was staring at me with the most stomach-turned look of disgust. The teacher sent me to the nurse, me waddling, dripping liquid feces the whole way. The nurse was obviously extremely aggravated with me, which really felt good to a 7-year-old who already wished she didn't exist, all but threw a set of ancient loner clothes in a plastic bag at me, and admonished me to make sure my mother washed them that night so I could return them in the morning. She angrily told me to go to the bathroom, clean myself up, and put my clothes in the bag and tie it up to take it home. I did the best I could, washing in a sink with the useless pink powder soap and low-quality brown paper towels that don't absorb at all, and changed into a pair of corduroy pants and an XXL button-down shirt used as an arch smock, then was sent back to class. I still smelled like poop, but I had no idea where it was coming from, and the teacher had me sit way off to the side for the rest of the day when the other kids complained. For the rest of that year, I had no friends whatsoever and was known throughout the school as a kid that pooped himself during reading time. Luckily, I changed schools the next year, so I left my crappy reputation behind me. Story 19. I went to an interview once where one of the two people interviewing me asked if I knew French, and I said I knew core French, so they decided to conduct the interview completely in French. I can understand when someone speaks French to me, and I can also read and write fluently in French, but I can't for the life of me speak French. It was so bad that one of the interviewers got up and left halfway through and didn't come back. Needless to say, I didn't get the job. Story 20. When my mother told me on my wedding day not to lose this man because no one could ever love me. Same day, telling me in my wedding dress not to gain any more weight because if I have a baby, I'd basically be fat forever. When I was 14 and super sick one summer, I couldn't eat, was down below 100 pounds. My mom told me I should go put a bikini on so she could take photos because I'd never be that skinny again. I'd just fainted a couple hours earlier because I hadn't been able to eat. She just oozed all her own insecurities all over me my whole life. My husband and I have been married almost 16 years. He spent our entire marriage undoing all of the damage she's done. The saint. Story 21. I've told this story before, but when I was 8 years old, we took a field trip to the Field Museum here in Chicago. During our lunch break, I decided to wander off to the gift shop and see what they had. I had a huge crush on this girl named Victoria in my class, and I saw this ladybug ring on sale for a couple of dollars. I knew she liked ladybugs, and I had money my parents gave me to buy something at the shop, so I decided to buy the ring and give it to her. I was really nervous and kept waiting for the right time to do it. I eventually decided to just go for it and walked up to her near the end of the trip. She was with some of her friends, which made me more nervous, but I finally found the courage to do it. She looked at the ring and laughed. Her friends joined her, and then she tossed the ring in the trash. I was completely devastated and tried hard to hold back my tears. Even though I'm over it now, that completely messed up my confidence with girls for a long time. Looking back, I may have embarrassed her by giving it to her in front of her friends, which is why she reacted that way, but whatever the case, it's probably the most embarrassed I have ever been in my life.